Yo, what's good? It's Drop from ProducerPolish.com. This video right here, I wanted to go over EQs. Pretty essential effect that you should be using. Definitely right up there with the compressors. I pretty much EQ everything that I mix, whether it be a beat or whether it be vocals. Today I got lined up a song. This is Secret Soldier right here. It's just a verse, pretty simple song. That's why I chose this one to use this. Because it's not nothing crazy. I'm just going to kind of EQ his voice. You can see right here that I have EQ already kind of set up for him, and I also have a preset made for him, which is really big. If you can make presets for your EQs, you definitely want to be making presets, because it's just going to help you get to where you were before. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of want to get a good EQ for someone, and then you make that preset, and that way you can pull it up and start right from where you left off before, no matter what song you're on. So we're gonna play this song, and let's see what we got. It's a pretty good song here. It's pretty deep.
Yeah. I love you, John. I love you, John. Damn, how do I start this shit? It's understood, so I don't even have to say you missed.
So it's sounding pretty good so far.
And you was like an angel's gift, but then they took you back, they threw a curve, I missed the pitch. I swear to God, if I had a chance, a single wish, that single book.
So I took some of the lows out. What you got to think of when you EQ, before I start going off on this song anyway, is you got to think of where whatever you're EQing, the voice or the instrument, where is it going to sit in your mix. So I know the voice, it's not going to be like a bass instrument, you know what I'm saying? Especially Secret's voice, he's not really like super low, no Barry White kind of tone, you know what I'm saying? But even still, in these frequency ranges here, the voice is really not going to get too deep. Even someone's really deep voice, it's not going to be too much lower than 500. But the thing is, any frequency has what they call harmonics. So any frequency is it's represented in higher frequencies and in lower frequencies compared to what it actually is. Hopefully that makes sense. But basically, if his voice is right around the 1 to 2 kilohertz range, he's also going to have some harmonics that are going to be hitting, you know what I'm saying, in the higher ranges, 5, 10, and the 20 ranges. He's going to have some harmonics that are hitting in the low ranges. Now, most of the time, though, you just want to cut out some of the low muddiness, you know what I'm saying, especially like if you know, when you record a vocal or anything with a microphone, you're always going to have like some sort of noise that you get just from the room, you know what I'm saying? No matter what, there's always going to be stuff on the low end that you're going to want to cut out. So a good place to start when you're EQing is to start cutting or start putting some high pass filters on, so that way you're taking away some of that muddiness and some of those frequencies that we're really not going to use. Some of the higher frequencies I like to keep because I like my sounds really crisp, and the higher the frequency is, the more attuned our ear is going to be to it. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to hear high frequencies than it is low frequencies. So just keep that in mind. So I cut his low frequencies out, and then also you see here I'm starting to roll off something around the 500 range, 400-500 range, just because I don't wanna squash it and just, like, you know what I mean, cut out half of his EQ, you know what I'm saying? So I want to leave some of it there. I want it to feel natural, but I want it to feel clean. So another big tool that you'll see me using is the bypass, which is just turning the EQ on and off. And you want to constantly be like verifying your changes are actually sounding better. So that's why you always want to be shutting off what you did and turning it back on to make sure, okay, what I did change is sounding good. So far I think we're right about there. Let's play it, and I'll keep EQing here. You can take a look at the way I do it.
I love you, John. Damn, how do I start this shit? It's understood, so I don't even have to say you missed. My life is cursed, but meeting you was like an angel's gift. But then they took you back, they threw a curve, I missed the pitch.
So it just boosted a frequency right there. Just kind of took a listen really quick to see if it was a frequency I liked. I didn't really like it. Wanted to roll off a little bit more of those low frequencies there.
My wife would have a rider, and I would have my dog.
So it's a lot more under control here.
Middle name John to keep him strong and flesh and fall apart. If you can hear me, promise me that you near me. Promise you'll never leave us. I'm swerving, you steer me. I can tell you here now, this shit is eerie. It took for life to hit me blind to see my.
So right there, I was just adjusting the Q, and the Q is basically just the amount of slope that you want your EQ to have, basically. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even though I'm pinpointing right now, if you look at my green EQ and the green dot, I'm pinpointing 2.41 kilohertz, but I don't want it just to be strictly on that one frequency. You know what I mean? I kind of want to gently raise the frequencies around it too, so that way it's a little bit more natural. You know what I mean? There are times where you're going to want a really strict narrow Q, but for my purpose right now, I'm using a wider Q, and I'm letting some of the other frequencies naturally be a little bit higher too, right around that area. So also, you've seen me adjust my output. Most EQs are going to have an output, because right now I am raising up some frequencies. I'm adding more volume to the sound, so I'm taking some of the overall sound out, so that way I'm not distorting the vocal on the EQ. So let's keep it going here.
Damn, how do I start this shit? It's understood, so I don't even have to say you missed. My life is cursed, but meeting you was like an angel's gift. But then they took you back, they threw a curve, I missed the pitch. I swear to God, if I had a chance, a single wish, that single bullet would have missed the song would not exist. Your mom would have a baby, and Pesci have his heart. My wife would have a rider, and I would have my dog. The Monty'd have his uncle, he'd be your shining star. Middle name John to keep him strong if life should fall apart. If you can hear me, promise me that you near me. Promise you'll never leave us. I'm swerving, you steer me. I can tell you here now, this shit is eerie. It took for life to hit me blind to see my angels clearly. This shit is hard, I can relate.
So I'm pretty happy with the EQ. Like I said, I already had my preset set up, so I already knew whereabouts I was already liking his voice to be, and I just kind of fine-tuned it to this song. Like you've seen just now, it doesn't have to be a really extravagant process, but you know what I mean, you have to develop that ear, and you have to develop the ear for each frequencies, and know, like, okay, vocals are around this frequency, you know what I mean, bass lines are around this frequency, guitars maybe around a certain frequency. So in time, you'll get there, you know what I'm saying? And if you're there now, then you just need to be actively listening and actively shutting off the EQ, turning it back on, making sure the changes that you're making are actually for the better. So this example right here was pretty quick. I feel like it was to the point, you know what I'm saying? EQ is a fairly basic machine, but it's actually using it. But when you want to master it, it can become harder. So just keep that in mind. It's easy to use, but you don't want to be going crazy. Like, check out how many, you know what I mean, I only put about 3 decibels of gain on this area here. You know what I mean? You don't want to go way up, adding a lot of frequencies. You definitely want to be cutting more than what you're adding for the most part. You know what I mean? Cutting, because when you add something at a certain frequency, you can usually cut a certain frequency and it'll stand out more. You know what I'm saying? So let me just save this, and I'll kind of just go back to a factory default setting here, just to kind of give you a little more info on what I'm talking about here. So I'm just going to my normal flat. So instead of say I wanted a boost around the 2 kilohertz range again, you know what I mean? Instead of boosting it way up, I could actually be cutting out the frequencies. Like, let me leave this here for a second. I could be cutting out frequencies above it, cutting out frequencies below it, and I could still be getting a boost on that frequency. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. You don't want to be always adding volume to stuff. You kind of want to be cutting with the EQ more than anything. Like, it's really important that that you get used to cutting and then only adding, you know what I mean, just a little bit. Like, let's say this was sounding nice, and I just wanted to add a little bit more, you know what I mean, to the 2 kilohertz range, and I'll probably pick a narrow Q, and I would specifically pick where I want it to be, and that way it just adds just a little bit extra, you know, to that area. So hopefully this all helped, and then you can keep some of these techniques in mind, and just start using your ears and start checking yourself every time you use that EQ. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you check it, and make sure the changes that you're making are really good, you know what I'm saying, and really are making a difference. Another key point from this video to remember is that everything needs its place. So if you're EQing a vocal, put it in its place. I know that it's not going to have a lot of low frequencies, but I want the high frequencies in my vocal. If I had a bass line, it would probably be the exact opposite of this EQ. I'd probably be cutting the high frequencies out, and I'll be boosting somewhere in the low frequencies. So that's kind of the basics of what the EQ does. You know what I mean? EQ, compression, one of the most essential effects that you should be using. You know what I mean? Before you use any other effects, you know what I mean? Make sure you're using these compressors in the EQs, and starting from there before you add any craziness to it. You know what I'm saying? Get everything compressed and leveled out. Get everything EQ'd and in its own space, and then you can go on to the more creative parts of the mix. So that's it for this one. I'll definitely have more videos on the EQs, getting into more advanced topics and uses of it. And hopefully this one helped. Definitely like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and yeah, keep grinding it out. Alright, peace.